Hello everyone, and welcome to snake as a totem. Obviously there are a lot of different species of snakes, and so what this video is going to cover is just what it means to be a snake person in general. If you have a particular species of snake with which you resonate, a particular kind of python or rattlesnake or cobra or whatever, then you are welcome to contact me for a private session, and we can talk a little bit more about exactly what your particular kind of snake means for you and your journey. You can also read my book, Animal Totems and Spirit Guides, The Wisdom of Snake, which will be on Amazon Kindle and paperback in early spring of 2015. And what it will do is it will explain kind of some of the specific wisdom associated with particular species of snake, and it'll also cover everything I'm not able to cover here. Snake is a really complicated totem, and snake people, I'm telling you, you're very complicated individuals. So I put a lot of the information in the book because there's just no way for me to cover it here. So if you need more, that's where you can go. So snakes scare a lot of people. In fact, one of the markers that something is your totem is that you're terrified of it. And some people in my life are so terrified of snakes they can't even seem to look at pictures of them. It's just awful for them. And one of the reasons that snakes scare so many people, and this doesn't mean that you're necessarily afraid of snakes. Some people who have a snake totem really love snakes quite a bit. They feel an affinity for them. But if you're really afraid of them, one of the reasons you're afraid of them, most likely, is that snake has some pretty big lessons, the kind of lessons that really require us to kind of go outside our nature as people in this society. And what I mean by that is society likes to give us rules, likes to give us systems, tells us this is how you do it, this is the right way. If you don't do it this way, you're going to be ostracized or excluded, or something awful will happen to you. And so we're a very fixed society. We really like rules. We think rules keep us safe. And snake kind of teaches you not to pay attention to the rules. And this is really scary for some people, because if we're not listening to the rules, oh my God, the worst could happen. So one of the areas in which this is reflected in the snake is actually in its lungs. Snakes have these very, very long right lungs. They have to be long and thin, otherwise they wouldn't fit in that skinny snake body. And yet they have either absent or small left lungs. And what the lungs represent in metaphysical healing is our capacity to take in life. You think about it, oxygen is necessary for living. We stop breathing, we stop living. Our security is based around our ability to breathe. That's why people who are having anxiety attacks, one of the first symptoms is that shortness of breath. Oh my God, I can't breathe. And so snake people, their breath comes through this right side. And the right side is linked to a more masculine way of being, more aggressive, more go out and get it. It's the things we can see and touch. It's logic and rules. Whereas the left side, which in the snake person does not come into this world, they don't come in with this developed, is the left side is the feminine. It's intuition. It's feeling. And so snake people come into this world with a hunger for rules, with if I can just understand it through logic, I'll be okay, I'll feel safe. Snake people really do have a fear of being victimized. A lot of times this is because they were victimized as children, but they're always seeking security in a way that is even more dramatic than many of the rest of us. And part of this often has to do with the fact that from the time they were little, they were expected to care for themselves. Snakes are not maternal creatures. With one exception only, snakes pretty much lay their eggs and they leave. And snake babies are expected to fend for themselves. And so most snake people from a very early age were expected to be grown-ups. They didn't have the luxury of being children like so many of us do. When we learn how to feel and go with our urges and do what calls to us, we have a loving mother, many of us, who nurtures us and helps us be ourselves. Snake people oftentimes don't have that. They don't have the maternal loving. They don't have the person encouraging them to follow their feelings. They don't get to just play. And so here again, there is this reliance on rules and logic, because this is the one thing in their life that they believe is going to make them safe. Now, also, snakes are one big backbone. So, in metaphysical terms, the spine represents strength, among other things. It is a link to security. So again, we need that security. Snake people hunger for security. But snakes with the spine, they're all spine. They are so strong. People who are snake totems are so strong. And life doles out a lot of punishment, and they just keep taking it and taking it and taking it. And so these are oftentimes the walking wounded. They just keep being tested and tested and tested, and part of their journey is to realize that all these tests are putting them someplace, and if they can put all of these challenges into effect in a way that they use them to grow and change and learn something about themselves, then they don't keep getting the world beating on them in the same way. So again, also that spine representing security represents connectedness, groundedness. Snake people really need to remain grounded to be sane. When you have that kind of victim consciousness where you're always afraid and you're always hungering for rules, if you don't remain grounded, mentally balanced, then you can just spin off into this crazy land of being afraid all the time and just endlessly seeking for answers outside yourself that will make you feel better. And no answer outside yourself is going to make you feel better. You have to stay, again, grounded, centered, and feeling from the heart. And fortunately, snake people do have some abilities that help them learn how to do this. They just have to be developed. So snakes don't see very well. They don't hear particularly well. And we think about sight and sound as being the things that show us the facts. You know, if we can hear something, if we can see something, you know, we'll believe it when we see it. What you see is what you get, all those ideas. So facts, logic, all of that is really based on what we can see, what we can hear. Snakes smell and taste and feel. That is how they experience the world around them for the most part. They actually taste the air with their tongues, and that tells them what to expect around them. And anytime we're talking about an organism that has a strong sense of smell, we're talking about clairolfaction, which is psychic scent, the ability to use smell to be intuitive about the world. And so in some cases, clairolfaction means that you actually have a particular smell that tells you something about the world. So somebody who's bad for you may have a really awful, awful smell, and somebody who's really good for you may smell like a freshly baked plate of cookies, if that's your thing. I've mentioned in other videos, before somebody dies, I oftentimes smell embalming fluid. It's weird, but it is what it is. Most people, however, who are clairolfactant don't have the actual experience of, oh, I smell something, what does that mean? It's more a gut hunch. Smell is really linked to gut hunches, and so snake people often have these really powerful gut hunches, and they'll spend a lot of their lives feeling these hunches and disregarding them because they're not logical, after which they go, gosh, why didn't I listen to that? So part of being a snake person is learning to trust your gut. It will tell you what to do. Similarly, snake people are clairsentient. They are extremely in tune with their environment. A lot of what the snake experiences in the world is through the vibrations in the ground. And so with a snake person, they will really take cues from the environment. How they feel should tell them something important about whether or not a situation is good for them or bad for them. And it is crucial that snake people remain in a harmonious atmosphere. Part of the reason for this is if you think about the snake, its body temperature is based on its environment. This is a lot of the times why the reason you see these snakes sunning themselves in the middle of the road, which is like the worst place for it to possibly be, but it's warm there, and they're looking for warmth. So snake people are the same. They require a harmonious atmosphere to feel harmonious. If they're in a crazy atmosphere, if people are nuts around them, they feel nuts. If it is serene, then they feel serene. And so harmony again, seeking groundedness and balance is extremely important for a snake person's mental health. And part of the reason that this is so important is because snake people undergo some very dramatic changes. And it is very difficult to go within oneself and change when everything around you is crazy. So that's why we talk about in metaphysical terms going into the cave. You retreat, you go to someplace quiet, and you change. And it takes a long time, and you need this quiet atmosphere to do this, because if everything around you was demanding your attention, you couldn't look inside yourself. This is a lot of times the reason people become very ill when they're going through a big change in their life. This happened to me. I had to be very, very ill in order for me to withdraw from the world and look at my internal self and make changes. Again, you can't do that when you're being distracted. So, snake people change a lot. It happens several times throughout their life. This is the other reason snake is oftentimes such a terrifying totem, because if there's one thing most of us hate, it's change, because we don't know what's on the other end. That's scary. So what happens with a snake is it sheds its skin, usually on average 6 times a year. Snake people throughout their lives will shed their skin several times. And usually, because when a snake sheds its skin, it's still the same snake. It just needs a slightly bigger skin. It's the same thing with the snake people. The changes aren't as obvious to those around them, but inside, the snake person themselves can feel that they've undergone something dramatic. So people may not look at you and go, oh my gosh, what's different? But you will most definitely know. It's not like a butterfly or a moth transition. People who have a butterfly or moth totem, they change so much, everybody goes, oh my gosh, what happened? Not the case here. What is the case is when the snake person decides that they want to change. They don't just do it. These are not spontaneous creatures. What they do instead is beat the idea to death with logic for quite some time, and eventually they get to the point where, okay, this is comfortable, and then they don't just do it a little bit at a time. No, they bite off the whole thing at once. They just decide they're going to go for it, and they swallow it whole, and usually it takes over their lives. If you think about when a snake eats, it just swallows the whole thing head first, and then it digests it for weeks. Snakes can go months without eating. They have to, because they're not the most successful hunters in the world. So for snake people, they decide they're going to make this transition. They make this huge change in their life, and then it takes them a very, very long time to get to the end of this change. Snake changes don't happen overnight. These are big things. They can take years sometimes, and they can be very dramatic, and they can be difficult, but to navigate them well and with a maximum amount of ease means that you just continuously give yourself love, you continuously give yourself support, and you continuously, as much as possible, listen to your heart. If somebody gives you advice for handling this change that does not feel good, it is not good for you. You have to seek out the things that resonate with you. This is how you're going to get through these transitions and become the person you're supposed to be. Learn the things that you're supposed to learn. Now, lastly, one of the things that I find really, really fascinating about the snake totem, and most particularly about the people who have a snake totem and they are afraid of snakes. People who are afraid of snakes, a lot of them have this misconception that it's going to chase after them, that it can run them down and bite them. Snakes really don't want to do this. They are very shy creatures. They don't really want to attack you. But most importantly, they're not that fast. In most cases, you can walk faster than a snake can slither at full speed. Now, if you go to Africa and you tick off a black mamba, that one might be able to run you down. The black mambas can move very quickly. You could probably get away from it running full speed, but you'd still have to hurry. Here in the United States, you're not going to get a snake chasing you down. It's just not going to happen. In fact, more people are struck by lightning than are killed by snakes. And all you snake people out there who are afraid of snakes just went, oh my God, thank you. So it's not going to chase you down. And we have this myth about the rattlesnakes, the bite, the strike being lightning fast. Also not true. Rattlesnakes can strike about as fast as a human being can punch. So still fast, but not earth-shatteringly so. You could get out of the way. So here we have this thing that scares the heck out of us, and yet it isn't that fast, and it doesn't have any hands, and it doesn't have any feet, and so how the heck does it get anything done? If you think about it, somehow these guys have to be pretty successful because they've got to feed themselves and they've got to make little snake babies, so obviously they're able to eat. It's not like the little mouse just stands in front of the snake and goes, here, I'm going to stand still while you grab me. Snakes have to be surprising. They have to be unorthodox in their approach. And so snake people, you're the same way. You have to be unique. You're meant to be unique. You're meant to be surprising and do things differently than everybody else has done them. You're meant to blaze your own trail. You've probably had a lifetime of people saying, don't do it that way. Nobody succeeds that way. What, you're interested in that? Oh, you're never going to make it. Oh, that's so weird. Don't think about those people. They're wrong. You're supposed to be different. Snake people are some of the most unique innovators. That is your energy. And so whatever it is that calls to you, if you're passionate about it, you'll be successful at it. You will find a way. So don't let all those people who are holding up all the logic and the rules saying, oh, nobody succeeds that way, or oh, that's weird, just ignore them. It doesn't mean anything. Now, hopefully this has given you a little bit of an idea of what it means to be a snake person or to have a snake totem. Again, if you want more information, if you're also interested in mental and physical healing services or life path guidance, dream interpretation, all of that, please feel free to contact me to schedule a session. I have clients all over the world. It's my passion. It's what I do. I love it, and I would love working with you. You can reach me through my website, which is www.ravenlightholistichealing.com. Ravenlight Holistic Healing is also on Facebook and Google+. And again, you can look for my books on Amazon.com. I am writing an ongoing series, Animal Totems and Spirit Guides, and the wisdom pertaining to different animals. So as I am making this video, Owl is up there on Amazon Kindle. It'll be on paperback this week, shortly followed by Elephant and Wolf and Snake, and many more to come. So just stay posted. And may all of you have an absolutely blessed day. Cheers, my darlings.